Right.
because the dictionary is supposed to be a standard. So, and like it doesn't matter. Like I like people to bring healthy discussions to the table. It's like let's just get on the same page initially, like I talked about for boot camp. Like let's at least get one solid foundation from which we can pull, and that way it's like third party for real, right? So this is the generic version. And what are your thoughts so far on what I said, man? I'm just rambling.
No, I agree. I agree. I think that a lot of people we're finna get into it, but I think that a lot of people don't understand that foundation and the ability to be able to, how important the past is and not to suppress it. And if it has been suppressed, to go back and unlock that to find out why you're where you are in order to go where you need to be. Because you can never, if you ever want to move forward, there's something that you got to be able to do. You've got to have momentum. And if you don't have momentum, you start going back, you need to be catapulted. I just think that's what the past is. The past is a mechanism to give you the energy or the power to actually catapult yourself further into the future or to the highest level. But you have to be built off of some base, whether it's good, it's bad or not. You got to be aware of it. You got to acknowledge it. I mean, it's the past, so it happens, so you have to accept it, but it doesn't have to be you. Use it as building blocks to get you where you need to be. And I think a lot of people, like yourself, are taught suppress that, let it be what it is. You work from where you're at, and you'll never know why you're where you are. And if you don't know why you're where you are, you won't know how to get to the next place.
That, sir, is a bar.
Word. Holla at your boy.
But that's real though. So based on what you just said in the feedback, and I'm curious because we're also going to post this in the group.
Yeah.
I want honest, accurate assessment of this one word now in context of what I'm saying.
Mm.
That word is humble. Right. Having a low estimate of one's importance, worthiness, or merits. This is the free version. You got to pay for the other one. I have it on my I have it on my phone, but I can't pull it up right now. But can you see where this definition is even going?
Yeah. It's they're saying that to be humble is to actually downplay yourself.
This is the Oxford Dictionary. Like Oxford has been around since like the 1300s. So I'm going back as far as I can, you know, when definitions really meant something, right? Because now there's certain patterns and things like that that we have to, we'll talk about that later as far as like dictionaries, but for the most part, this is what I use. This is my standard. What are your thoughts on that?
So funny story. Since we're talking about elevating to newer levels, I had a chance to go play at a very high level in a certain industry. Um, but I had somebody that was in that industry, and they told me, they were like, look, you're talented, you got this, that, and the third, but your problem is, and why you will never make it is because you are too humble. That's the exact words of what this person told me. He's like, you're entirely too humble. People will eat you up, they will spit you out, you will not make it. Your talent is only so good, but your humility will not allow you to elevate and be looked at in the manner that you need to because you keep downplaying yourself. But I was always taught, and I always come from a place of, man, humility as in like a calm understanding, humility as in I'm not better than you. But you got to understand the levels of it. And sometimes you just can't be humble because sometimes humility takes away from your confidence. So looking at that and some of the things that they're saying, it's a downplay of, I mean, if you just look at when you really break it down, we all know what humble means in our mind, but when you really break it down, it is really kind of a downplay of, I mean, come on, insignificance, inferiority, subservience. These are not words that we use to describe ourselves whenever we're trying to be great, whenever we're trying to help people, whenever we're trying to attract likeness. These are actually negative words. There's
So,
nothing
okay,
positive about those words.
I've been doing my best to wait. You had said something earlier. You had said
Go
like
ahead.
we said you said that we all know this. My question is, do we? Like, let's take a look at this because I would agree with you as far as like, hey, based on the way that you're looking at it now in relation to like your mentor or somebody who informed you of this, right? It's like, are we trained and conditioned so that this is implied? Because how many people do you know, short of me? Because I look up like sometimes 75 words a day. I'm always in a dictionary, like always. Always. So because I'm a writer and that's what I do, like I want to make sure that I have as accuracy as possible. I'm not perfect just yet. I'm working on it, but I don't know if anybody on this planet really is, you know. So I say that tongue in cheek.
Right.
But you went straight to the second definition. You didn't even like you went straight to you went straight into number two. So number one says not proud or arrogant, modest. So this is a little bit more of a I wouldn't say watered down, but it's a little bit more of a broader, more commonly accepted version of humble. That's the reasons why like I like to go super deep in these kinds of conversations because in context, had we not even had this up, would your conversation have changed? Like not proud or arrogant versus you seeing this as we're talking. Right. This is the
You
stuff
already
that's
know.
this is how I think, man. This is the part that makes people's noodles. Like I can just see the tea leaves. I can see like the matrix. Like you were talking and I put that up, and then you automatically went down to number two, which means that you looked at number one, which means that you looked at the definitions to see which one matched your context in the conversation. Just let me know if I'm wrong on this.
You're right. You're right.
Now just imagine though, people with this power and capability leading us in a different direction.
Yeah. It's unlocking another mindset. It's all shifting the way you think about things. Once you change your mindset, you will process things differently. You will get better results.
This isn't real time, bro. This isn't scripted.
Yeah, this is
Like,
all live, y'all. At this
yeah,
moment, it's
yeah,
live.
yeah. We're gonna jump in the group. We're gonna jump in the Facebook group. I also want to show you the other one that I look at. Just check this one out. And this is live because I haven't even had a chance to really even look at this. So you're watching literally how I research. Here is the other. Here is the other definition of humble: submissive, respectful, lowly in manner. This goes closer to the origin of words. This is the etymological. I don't even know if that's a word, but this is etymology right here. This is like words
Yeah.
like when they were. This is like dinosaur words, like when words roamed the earth, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like when they were first being made, like this is it, bro. This is it. Look at that. Look at that right there.
Wow. It's like I like he said, we're doing this in real time. And I'm a person like Fred, like I look at those words, the power words, the invoking, and there's just the words, if we break it down and what it's talking about, there is nothing really positive to any of that stuff whenever it comes to those are kind to be kind of negative words. Lowly in manner. Submit like I now that we've went a different way, I'm looking at it totally different. We thought humble was, oh man, I'm just modest, da, da, da. But then you break it down, you really break it down to really what it is. All the words that it represents, they're negatives.
You said something yesterday that triggered this conversation, and that was the way that I write is really colorful. Like you can see it in colors.
Yeah,
That's what prompted this conversation right here. Because leadership to me is about color. It's about really putting color in somebody's life, specifically someone who needs help. Because we all need help to an extent. To me, it's a lot, because I'm just like, people are like, oh my God, you're so smart. I'm like, well, that could be probably part of the problem. There's a difference between being smart versus being intelligent.
very big difference.
Yeah. So when we get the words right, this is the reasons why I do my best, even as a prompt engineer, to make sure that everything is accurate and in context. But even to use AI at this level that me and you use it on, you still need to be able to understand the basics foundations of like writing. Like you have to understand the basic foundations of like communication. You have to understand the basic foundations of how, when you put it out in the marketplace, how that really affects others. Like you have to really engineer and craft your thoughts in a way where you're on brand and it represents accurately what you're for, what you're against, who you're looking for, who you're not looking for, and craft it in a way where it's still mindful of everybody, because it's the way that I was taught in the military on how to think, and be able to really focus in on what that main message is. So the military term was called command message. Like, so we would always be like, okay, so if we're going to write a story as an example, we'd be like, okay, well, what's the command message? Like, what are we really working to say in this specific article? Have you ever even heard that before?
I'm just here to learn, brother. I'm taking it in. Keep on teaching.
This is what it is though, man. It's just like I'm having a lot of aha moments, and a lot of it comes from me really rediscovering like what I've already done, because I'm not the type of person where I like to stagnate. I'm the type of person where I want to help people, and if you're a leader, you want to help people, at least the positive leadership. But I don't know anything else. I don't know anything else except what they call ethical leadership. Because the thing about it was, I kept asking myself, I'm just like, why is this thing ethical leadership such a big phrase? And then I've been having conversations. I know you want to say something, but shut up. But
No,
then
no, no.
okay. I've been having like big conversations, and people are like, yeah, it's a big deal to be a ethical leader. I'm just like, well, I'm a little bit naive, guys. Like I'm behind the curve. I don't have a lot figured out. But my thing is, why wouldn't you want to help other people like survive? Like why wouldn't you want to help like it's like a parasite, you know what I'm saying? It's just like you don't want to kill the host. It's like there's enough out here for everybody, to where we, especially now, and this is the reasons why I'm telling you, man, this is the way. I promise you, I told you already, I have a contact in Facebook, and I'm gonna see if I can get him on the podcast. But I'm telling you, like these were kind of like the deeper level conversations I had when me and Facebook were rocking together. Like I didn't understand it at the time, you know. And I had top level marketers going, why is Facebook contacting you? I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not spending a lot of money in ad spend. Maybe that's the reasons why, you know. So
Yeah.
because I get it, I guess I get it a little bit differently, but it's like I think anybody can learn this, but you have to be willing to really apply it in a certain way and just focus on what that command message is. And that's what I guess out here they call branding guidelines. You follow me? Like I'm looking for correlations, because now I'm starting to get into a different part of the marketplace where people are trying to get their messaging out. And I'm like, okay, we trying to get that done. Boom, 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 boom. They go, like, what is this magic? I'm like, you asked, right? Thoughts?
It's the deliverables. That's what it is. And another thing that people understand, you deliver results. And sometimes, as you've admitted, you may be naive, you may be ignorant. They say ignorance is bliss sometimes. Sometimes you just do and deliver, get the results, and it's so nothing to you that like people are like, how did you do that? Or blah blah, or did you do that? You're like, no, what? Huh? No, it's just what it is because it works. I do it every time. My results speak for itself. You asked for something and I delivered upon it. And it's what you wanted. Actually, it was better than what you wanted. So what else is there to do except do what works? Why we gotta get so convoluted?
Well, I'll answer that question, and it's just check your mic real quick, brother, before I answer this question. But literally, what I'm discovering is that, and my wife had said the same thing. She was just like, you write in a way where it'll take me 3 days to think just like that. And I've watched you just bang it out in like a minute or so. I'm like, yeah. Like even when I went to the digital school in India, I that's how I got there. I was just like, the test was it was 10 questions. It took you 45 minutes. I'm just like, I can get that done in 2 minutes or three. That's how long it took me. I think it like took me to like 2 minutes and 8 seconds. So, but I didn't understand the magnitude of it. I'm starting to see it now, but also I believe that like people who really want to help people are wired a certain way.
Yes.
Like, like I'm not necessarily looking for that acknowledgement, but I'm also not the dictionary definition of humble either. I don't believe I should be submissive to anybody on this planet. I believe that like we all have our zones of genius, and I have to like curb my enthusiasm. I do believe that, because and the reason, and this is my own personal bias, and the reasons why is because as I'm learning something, I'm learning from somebody who knows more than me in a particular subject. So the way that I think about it is a completely different viewpoint than them if they have success in it. You follow me? So that's why I say good leaders can also be good followers, because I don't think that I'll be submissive, but what I think I will be is like a student. They're the
Yeah.
teacher, but that requires a level of me also having the basic understanding of what they have and what they know, so that I can grow at least at a basic level to have a basic foundation. And that's why boot camp is called basic training. They weren't asking us to be submissive. They're training killers, for crying out loud. Hey, be submissive. No, 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 no. They're not saying that. You follow me?
Right.
That's not the way that game is played at all, at all. So, but what we had to do was really be mindful of the environment. We had to be mindful of our teams. We had to be mindful of the situation. We had to be mindful of the processes and functions necessary for us to really get out of a life or death situation, because there are systems and processes for that. There are specific ways that you have to move. If I go like that, anybody in the military knows from this angle that that's a hasty right. You follow me? Like I had to learn all of this stuff. So these are the things where, as a leader, we also have to be a great follower. And I believe from like a marketing and advertising viewpoint, it's been denigrated because I've been out here in these streets. So I've watched people have confidence in a quote unquote leader, but it turns out to be a guru who doesn't know what they're talking about. That's all.
Following false prophets.
Yeah. I don't know if they're false prophets though. I know you say that. I would like to get some context and color, sir. See, this is the part where I'm not being submissive, but I'm doing it in real time because you know
Right.
something that I don't.
So it's not, I mean, maybe that was the wrong terminology. Let's go back to words, right? Like maybe me saying following false prophets, but it just, I mean, what does a guru entail? What does that hold in somebody's mind? They're at such a high level, they can do no wrong. They know what it is. Da, 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 da. So you're following that person, but isn't that kind of like what a prophet does? Like this again, I'm kind of taking another part that's not necessarily marketing and put it to real, because a lot of us are based upon a certain book or belief or things like that, in which a prophet or a promised one or whatever, without going too deep, is who we look up to, is who we follow, but not everybody has our interests, our best interests at heart. Therefore, they've got the knowledge, they've got the ability to manipulate, they've got the ability to you know get you to think and move a certain way, but not with your best interest in mind. So I just say following false prophet. And that was one of those things where, of course, it came off the top of my head. I didn't think about it before I said it, right? So if we go back to etymology, or if we go back to the words, and we take this whole, like it all goes back to a circle of everything we've talked about here until you understand the word or the meaning or the context. And it's, I'm gonna stop there. This is all about messaging too. So when Fred and I craft these, you're getting to see real time how our minds work. So when we craft messages for clients and things, this is what goes into it. So if your message is missing and you're not doing this, or you're not thinking like this, or you don't have the ability to do it, that could be why things aren't working for you.
Yep. And see, when you did that, guess what I meant? Guess what? And I appreciate you sharing that and being real, brother. Because, like I said, I don't have a viewpoint one way or the other. I've been totally immersed in like finance and it's in compliance. Like very technical things to make sure that a business goes right. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my background. Once I got off the military, I sold cars and then I was in the automotive industry and I've done insane things now that I'm looking at. I'm like, that is kind of insane. I don't even know how I did that. you know, like the background is just crazy. But one thing that I've always done is this right here. So even when you said that, I went straight over here because I don't understand. And again, that's why I'm glad, like to your point, this is what we do. So in this specific context, a prophet is a person who speaks for God, one who foretells an inspired preacher. Okay, I can rock with that, because again, in the context of us talking about advertising and marketing, I don't know if it goes into this range of thinking, but I do know that, like, from a quote unquote guru standpoint, so let's take a look at a guru because this is what people say online. I still try to understand that. So it says, one to be honored, teacher, venerable, worthy of honor, literally heavy, weighty. Wow. Okay.
Teacher, priest.
Teacher, though.
So
Teacher, teacher. I like, and that's why I like the precision of even how this specific etymology etymonline.com works, is that it's very precise, like how they have their words. So they say teacher first, then priest. It didn't say
so there's a
priest, then
level to
teacher.
it.
Yeah. It didn't say priest and teacher. It says teacher, then priest. So this is straight from that. And to your point though, when somebody's reading copy, this is what they're subconsciously going through based on their understanding of words and their understanding of their situation. That's the reasons why we have to have tight, precise copy. Because if not, then what happens is you're going to miss the mark. Hence, your conversions go up. It just, well, none of your conversions go up. Your ad cost goes up. Your conversions go down. So that's one of the reasons why it does take a while to really get messaging right. Because, like, even for one of the other clients we're talking about specifically, it's like, yeah, that's the reasons why the program is 8 weeks. It's like, if you were already hitting like that, you'd be hitting like that. So sometimes the way that we're taught and trained is, hey, don't worry about that part over there. Let's focus in on the tech side. Let's focus on your tech stack. Let's talk about ClickFunnels. Let's talk about Go High Level. Let's talk about Kajabi. Like, all of this stuff is cool, but it's out of sequence. That's not the right order first. The right thing to do is to, like me and you are demonstrating in real time, get the idea first, then really capture that idea. Like, it's what we're doing is we're taking a mental snapshot and crafting words around it, where your values, your beliefs, what you're for, what you're against, that kind of stuff, because that's what resonates in the marketplace. And we're watching it online in real time with these guys who get these tools and they're just trying to sell the steak. This is the sizzle. Like, this is what makes the steak appealing. It, like, there's a whole bunch of steak out here, but, like, why your steak? You follow me? Or is this making sense?
No, no, that makes perfect sense.
So we can't be humble in the marketplace. There are too many people out here trying to be humble in the marketplace. And I think we beat up that word enough for me to now start using it in the context that I see it. We cannot be humble in the marketplace. We have to promote what other people need and want in the marketplace. And we have to articulate it in a way where they can identify and relate with it. So, all right, brother, that's all I really wanted to get with you on. Any questions or thoughts, or we got a dip? What's your thoughts? Where we at?
I'm good. I noticed that you were talking about boot camp and how they set you up and strip you down to the basics and get you to the fundamentals of where you need to go and things. And I don't know if we're going to do this here, but I think that this may be a good time to talk about potentially a boot camp that we have for people that are interested in getting to where we are or maybe scaling.
Yeah, you can talk about it. Talking about market mastery boot camp.
Yeah, yeah, our new 5-day boot camp. I think that this would be a great segment.
That's dope. Sure, let's go.
Yeah. So I'll let you I just want to bring it up, but I'll let you kind of dive into it because this is your area of expertise. This is what we do, but how it's structured is based off of your expertise through the military and your expertise in this particular industry and craft and the ability to move people. So, what exactly is it, and why did you create it, and why is it so important?
Oh man, those are really good questions, bro. And again, I'm really thankful for our flow. You know, see, those are bars. I was being creative right there. So I didn't intentionally. Okay, this is the thing about me and being online. I didn't create courses just to create courses. I didn't create courses just to make money. That's for the record. And in fact, when I first created that course, it was a follow up to another course that I had called Thought Leader Academy. Because at that point in time, that's when you had George Floyd, a whole bunch of other things that was going on. We had the pandemic and a lot of other things. And I started Thought Leader Academy. And I probably just will re release that, man. I want you to take a look at it first. But Thought Leader Academy had some of the world's top thought leaders and experts in my Facebook group. We had over 20, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. We had over 2,200 members. The group was called Neuron Collective, and I had to flip it. So now that's my marketing group. Just because Facebook, I literally had to go to Facebook Council. It was crazy. But I didn't do anything wrong. Like you're really making me remember a lot of this stuff, and I appreciate that. Because it was a painful time for me, man. Like I was just coming off the road with Kia University. My wife had just had her heart procedure done. So this was back December 27th, 2019. And I planned on getting off the road anyway, but she had nearly died a few times. So it was just like, and I couldn't even talk about it like this calm at that time. So they said, hey, it's going to take 6 months for her to heal. Great. Now we get a pandemic, and the thing that this thing was going after were people who had heart problems, high blood pressure, and everything else, right? So just to make a long story short, I had started New Room Collective with Taylor Welch, and what happened was he was like, "We gotta do something about all this stuff," because we sat down and had dinner, and he was like, is all that stuff real? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what's all real? He was like, all this stuff that I'm like, yeah. I mean, what people thought was conspiracy theory is now, fast forward 4 years later, has been like documented as being real. I'm like, yeah, it's just what you just have to know what page things are on, right? So that's when we went into the podcast. Me and him did like 3 podcasts in the group. And from there, people were asking me like, "What's your offer? What's your offer? What's your offer?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, what's your offer?" I'm like, I'm giving it to you guys. They're like, "Well, what are you selling?" I'm like, "Nothing." They're like, "You giving this away for free?" I'm like, "Yeah, you guys need to know this stuff." It's just like, what, to your point, like it was just one of those things where I'm like, people need to be put on game for real. Like this stuff is happening for real in the real world. So they were like, "Well, what are you selling?" I was like, "All right, Thought Leader Academy." so
Right.
that's that's what Thought Leader Academy was. It was like an 8 week program. And from there, Market Mastery Bootcamp evolved because the other problem that I had discovered, and this is the part that we kind of ran into with this conversation, was delineating the difference between what a guru really is online. So the original, and again, to put it in proper context, I was speaking metaphorically about the guru inside of us that we have to transform out of in order to really help people. So I named it Slay a Guru. So yeah, I still own the dot. I own Slay a dot Guru to this day, right? But that's what it originally was. I'm like, hey, look, here's a 5-day boot camp to really, so that you don't become that person that you're talking about. Let's break down exactly what that looks like. So that's what day one is. Day one is like kind of like boot camp. We strip you down and be like, look, you guys have all different definitions of what this really is. Let's go to the dictionary definition. Let's go to the scientific definition or research of what this exactly is. Because I don't like, I'm just now starting to get like emotional, but it's just like, I don't really care as a human being like what other people do per se. What I care about is how they got to the point of why they're doing what they're doing. That's what I care about. I care about that part right there because it's a certain behavior or programming or environment or condition. There's something that's right there. What we're looking at is the effect. I want to go into the cause, if that makes sense. So that's what day one really does. Day one really breaks down like, hey, this is exactly what it is. This is exactly what, and again, you don't have to agree with it. You just have to at least start somewhere based on at least scientific research for starters.
Yeah.
And again, you don't have to agree with the science because not all science is accurate either, because sometimes best practices become collective ignorance. You follow me? So that's how I, right. That's how
Well,
I, yeah, that's how I even am with science. Okay. I'm like, I'm not that far left and I'm not that far right. I do my best to be right here to go, okay, how can I apply this right now? That's literally how I think. So that's day one. Matter of fact, let me do this real quick because I showed you my link tree. So I'll just go into the link tree and be able to explain it because I actually have what it really goes into detail. Did you have any questions on what I said so far?
no, I've been through the boot camp, so I understand. So
Okay,
I just want to hear it from you, and you let the people out here know what they're getting.
got it. Fair enough. Okay, cool. So right here is if you go to my link tree, it's stacked in a way where again, I just want to help people. So the way that this works is if people want a free copy of Superstar Leadership, this is what prompted a lot of the stuff because I'm doing my best to answer your question, but I want to make sure that people have proper context who are watching this so that they can really understand like the logic behind this. So the way that I have this stacked is I fixed that marketing specifically is designed for us to, like I said, I don't really care about the effect. I think it's important. I'm more concerned specifically about the why of things, like in the how we got there. You follow me? And then
Sir,
from yeah, and then from there, so that's why I give people the free copy of Superstar Leadership. I was thinking about that on a flight from Cali to Vegas, and I was like, man, if I had to explain this in 45 minutes, how would I do it? So that's how that book came originated. Originally, it was in the real estate lane, so you're going to see errors in the book because I did my best to read. I had a lot going on at that time, and I don't have time to get into all that today. But it's just like that's what superstar leadership is all about. It goes through all. I literally hand my brain to you and go, here, this is what it is. The last physical book that I gave out was to a very well-known person, and what they did was they read the book, they crafted emails for their campaign, and it made $2 million. Now, while I'm not sitting here saying that everybody can do that, because I want to be in truth and fair disclosure, because that is the exception, not the norm. It's very powerful reading. It drives everything that you're seeing up to this point in 2024 as of this recording, March 12th. Like this is what it is. All right. So people can click on that link and they'll go straight to the website. I don't know if you can see the website pulling up. Do you see it right here?
yeah,
Okay, cool. So then
that's
what
sharp
happens?
brother right there. Look at him. Look at him, y'all. That's money. That's good money.
I appreciate it, man. I got to drop some weight. I'm getting that's my next step is to get back to my marine weight, man. But these are the people who I really work with, and I'm super honored and thankful that I had a chance to work with them. So what they do, and I go into my story right here and who's it for, and then when they opt in, and these are some of the testimonials, and then when they opt in, then they get the book. I also, when they opt in, give them perspective on the book. I give them perspective as to how we went to audience roadmap. I show how everything ties in because I'm not the type of person where I just want people to guess this stuff. There's a lot of false marketing and advertising out there. So I will say false prophets in that lane for real because I've experienced it myself personally. So I can attest to that. But other than that, though, the whole context of what I'm saying is for you to really get the idea conceptually and more specifically, hey, how can I apply this in my life, right? So that's what superstar leadership is about. The second one is, to your point, Market Mastery Bootcamp. So Market Mastery Bootcamp, again, goes over a lot of what we're doing, but the whole outcome is for us to reshape your approach and also define your personal leadership growth. Because what I discovered was when you make a certain amount of money and all your needs are handled, like it's beyond money. It's just like, okay, I beat this level. Like, what next? So I'm not the only one who's been through that. And the problem when you're at that level is, do you just cut it off and like try to, still stay there? Because people always want to grow, right? And we have this carrot that's always being dangled in front of us to just continually go for more, go for more, go for more, go for more. But what I discovered was that when you go for more, you're also adding complexity. So that's the reasons why speed scaling is there, is because, okay, we can still grow, but like, how do you undercut your genius so that you still can scale and be effective? Like, how do you take that boot camp foundation that I talked about in the Marine Corps, right? Because most of your powerful generals and powerful like senior leaders, as an example, most of them start out as enlisted people, and then they become what they call a mustanger, which is they learn like all the officer level skills, and then they're very functional, they're holistic as a leader, right? That's what this really does from a very high level. But what I also discovered in the marketplace at that time was that there are people charging like 50, 60, 30, well, 30, 50, $60,000 for a mastermind, and it was still a warm bath. Like there was nothing there where a person could like unpack and go, hey, uh, here's my problem specifically, help me. So what I did was, I'm showing people right now a shortcut to go, hey, this is what legit, if I was to give you 100,000 mastermind, which I have done more than once, and I've had some top level players pay for it. It's just like, and that's the reason why you were also talking about the next level stuff. I'm like, yeah, that will be 250 because I know I can command that, and like it legit works. So that's what this is. This is a bird's eye view of what $100,000 mastermind really should be. Because when we have personal and professional development experts talking about that cooling off factor, they're not taking into have you ever heard that before? Like when people cool off, or like they hit the thermostat, like they hit this threshold. You ever heard of that at all?
Uh,
So it's a concept called the Peter principle. At least that's the way that I understand what it's called. And people are only going to grow as far as their environment. They're only going to grow as far as what they know. They're only going to grow as far as their own biases, their own limiting beliefs. So when you help somebody work through this stuff and you help them get breakthroughs, the natural byproduct is their business growing. The natural byproduct is their family growing. The natural byproduct is their community growing. They're not, because again, none of this stuff changes, but us as leaders do. So this helps identify what you shouldn't be really working towards from a scientific and psychological standpoint, quite frankly, to be able to really identify those things that can stop you from the other gains that you need to have throughout the 5 days. So while that may be highly esoteric and philosophical and technical, that's exactly what it is. So day one really goes into that right there. Hunt or be hunted, empowering your online business journey. So this is the reasons why I have that there. It's really the foundation. It's just one day, but there's a lot of red meat that you have to unpack in that one day. Did you
I
have any
got a
other
question for
questions?
you, Fred.
Yeah, go ahead.
So a lot of people hear empowering your online business journey. Does this work for people who have a brick and mortar business?
Yes, it does. And that's a good question. The reasons why I specifically said your online business journey is because even if you have a brick and mortar, these days you have to go to the skies. You have to have your air game down for your offline game. Like there's no way around it. At one point in time, you still could get away with it, but now you can't. It's like you literally have to embrace technology. And if you don't embrace technology, you still will get where you need to go. The question is how fast and how much resources do you have in order to still continue to do it the traditional way. I personally have embraced both because that's what I do, and this is the only thing that I know. That's the reasons why I'm different when it comes to lead response and what do you call it, lead generation and client acquisition, all that stuff. I don't even know what the
Yeah.
terms are, bro. I just know that I talk to people and I help them. But I have to get a little bit more defined as far as even what I call it. That's why I invented the term client creation, because what happens is when you're talking to somebody, there's a reasons why they're in front of you. And again, I don't have time to get into all of this, but this is part of the psychology that goes behind day one that I haven't had a chance to really unpack. There's a reasons why somebody's in front of you, but we have to get the proper context as to why they're in front of you. Like as an example, some of my best friends were people who were my clients some of my best friends when I was in the automotive industry, we were working together, like making money together. You follow me? So I don't expect everybody to have those kinds of experiences, but because I've had those kinds of top level relationships, that's why I'm able to continue to do top level things, because it is about relationships. So love it or hate it, that's what it is. Yes, you can do transactions as well. Don't have the time to get into the philosophy and the different ways of doing that. But for the most part, we're all hunters. Like in the Marine Corps, we were taught to be riflemen first. Like, regardless of what your profession was, you're a rifleman first. So you have to learn how to understand your true value in order to share it with others. And this is how we build an offer. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So it does work for online and offline. And the only thing that you're doing in a nutshell is just taking those principles and practices that are working for you, and you're amplifying them in the marketplace to attract your audience. Cool.
Absolutely.
Any
I
other
was
questions?
speaking for people that may see that and be like, well, I don't have an online business, but you still got to get traffic. And most people go to online to look and do their research before they go to your business. So this makes perfect sense.
Awesome. You have any questions on day one before I move on to day two?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you have any questions that somebody may ask? And if they have, guys, if you have any questions, you can go to askfredsmith.com. And that way I'll be able to, and I got to put that on our link as well. That way people can just like ask the questions, because who is this for? This is the part where sometimes when you say everybody, people go, oh, you shouldn't say that. So specifically, this is designed for high performers and achievers who are stuck, or who want to grow, who want to scale, who want to start up something, who want to pivot. I've done really well in the tech industry. I've done really well in the medical and legal industry. I've done really well in the compliance sector. I've done really well with like insurance people and brokers, and because that you have to navigate a whole different way to promote in those industries, because they're what they call restrictive categories, like real estate. Like I don't know what it is about the way that I move, but people love it and they get the results. so
Right.
so that I would mainly say that those are really good things, but also if you're like a high ticket coach, that's cool as well. Like anybody who's helping people and they understand the power of like coaching and consulting for real, that's who I would say that this is for. They're already at a top level of performance, and they want to scale out and go even further. This doesn't mean that this won't work for a startup, which is the reasons why it's just 197 for everybody. That part is for everybody, because regardless of where you're at on the grid, so to speak, you still will need to know all of these things so that you can get proper context, so that you can make better decisions as you're moving and navigating in your life. And that's
So
and
the
that, and that,
price is for everybody. Everybody should be able to afford this if you're serious about it. Now, as far as who we aspire to speak to, who would probably come to us for that next level, are the audiences and the people that you just spoke of. Correct?
yeah, 100%. They can just book a call, and either you, me, or somebody else on the team will just talk to them. But for the most part, that's who this is for, because you got to get proper context on things in order to really understand like why you're moving the way that you're moving. Like as an example, I can always tell literally when somebody's really left brained as far as marketing goes, because they'll always focus in on a tech stack. And then I can always tell when somebody's really right brain, because all they're focusing on is like the woo woo stuff. And I'm both. I'm very woo woo and I'm very technical, so I get it. But the question is, do you have familiarity right now with your audience? Like, are they able to really connect with you to know, like, and trust you? Like, that's a better question right now. So that's the reasons why I have the art of aiming right here, which is day two, because we have to have strategic positioning for both. So part of this process is in-depth market research, and I'll probably add a bonus on here. People say, "Oh, look." I'll probably, because me and Carl Shockey actually did it. I'm still debating on that, where because we have like Sunday meetings right at that time, and what we would do is just talk about things, and everything from God to religion to politics to just being good human beings, to what's really working in the market, what's not working in the market. Just a holistic approach, because these are the things that entail your positioning. Period. This is where you have to start taking your biases and your beliefs and what you're for and what you're against, and really putting it in a way where it resonates in the marketplace, because you can't be everything to everybody. You just can't. It's impossible. You can't. I've worked with multi-billion-dollar companies for a long time, and as good as they are at that level, they still don't have enough money to do that. And these are multi-billion-dollar companies. They ain't even got that kind of money. So what we have to do is just be really specific, But here's the other part of it too, because when I was working in the advertising technology lane, helping build like an ad tech platform from scratch, we were doing like stuff like identity graphs and like a lot of whole bunch of technical stuff where the main reasons why we were doing that was to identify people who like like if you're an advertiser as example watching this, for example like behaviors and interests go away. So because the behaviors and the interests went away on Facebook and a few of these other social media platforms, what do you have to do? You've got to get your messaging super tight. It needs to be super dialed in. It needs to be super accurate, because even with the data, you can still have data and miss because you don't have your messaging and your offer corrected correctly. That's the reasons why. So that's what this is about: strategic positioning for growth from a very micro level. Audience roadmap is the macro level where we build out the message and give you the technical framework. Like here is the messaging and the technical framework, so we give you both in audience roadmap. But here it's just like a just to raise your awareness kind of thing. It's still red meat. I'll probably go through it again just to make sure we give specific examples and have people do homework and stuff. But this is a working, breathing like boot camp. Like you can do it, like, and I was able to do it, and Nick was able to do it, and there's a whole bunch of other top level agency owners, and I'm not this superhuman. I just know how to just like navigate through tough stuff, right? But that's what the art of aiming is about. So this is what you really have to think through in order to get that exponential growth really, really, really fast. Hopefully that wasn't too long-winded. Any questions about day two, or maybe something that somebody would ask, or any questions that you have?
Um, no, just on day two, be ready to do a little bit of work. Be ready to understand this. This is very integral because you're working on positioning yourself. So get your pen, get your paper. Like he said, this is active. So you're going to want to understand that when you get this, you're not just going through something, but you're just gonna be like, okay, I'm done. At this point, you're going to want to get active, pen and paper, however you take notes, however you apply things. You've got to be just as active as this boot camp is. So I want you to understand as we get to day two.
Yeah, definitely, brother. I really appreciate you saying that, because again, I'm doing my best to give them proper context, because unfortunately, there's been a lot of people who watch this kind of stuff and they've been sold versus me being like, look, this is what it really is. Like, I don't want you to believe a word I'm saying. Like, I want you to like go do it and test it, which is the other reasons why we have the group, is because I provide ongoing support for this stuff, because you need to know this stuff, like period. Like there's like my guarantee is that I will stick with you with this because you need to know this stuff. And the only reasons why people give up on these kind of things is because they don't understand something. So I would rather have them ask it in our Facebook group at iFix.marketing, so that they can have, support for this kind of stuff, because it's not easy, but it's worth it when you really understand it. And if they're at the head of the line, they're ready to go forward, then they can just book a call with us and see if they're a match for audience roadmap. Like that's how this process is. It's real simple. There's another thing in between that I'm working on right now, but for the most part, this is it. You follow me? Like in I want people to focus in on why this is a boot camp and why it's established the way that it was, because originally it was called, like I said, Slay a Guru, but the guru is inside of us. Like how do we really break that mold? How do we like lower those limiting beliefs? How do we create an environment where we can actually allow new information to come in safely and test it, so that we can let go of our old limiting beliefs. Like, I don't see anybody else doing that, bro. That was my biggest problem. And that's why when we're talking about the higher level $250,000 program, that's how that came about. It literally came about me just going, man, ain't nobody else talking about this kind of stuff. I guess I got to talk about it. It's just like,
Right.
and here are the sources. Like, this is what it is. Like, test this. Like, because I'm not the only one. But as a result of me figuring this out, I was able to help out multi-billion-dollar companies. I'm not trying to hang my hat on that, but I'm just saying that's what I did. Like, it is what it is. Like, but I've also been out in these streets, and I have that on some of my older Facebook pages back in 2021 and 2022, so people can really see me doing this work. Like I was out there in South Central LA, South LA. Like I'm out in these streets doing this for real. I'm online working with Billie Jean. That's how me and you met, was through Billie Jean and as marketing. You follow me? Like this is really practical stuff. Like, and it works. It's just evergreen fundamental principles that people need to know so that they can have a basic foundation to grow. Is that cool?
Yeah. And
All right.
one thing that you said that I don't want people to miss is that, some people are like, oh, 250,000, I would never did it 100,000 or this. Even with this 197, have you identified a problem that you can solve? That's where the money is, and that's what this helps you to do and get to. So sometimes, like if you're doing a t-shirt business or if you're doing something like I don't know if that works or not, but are you
Yeah,
solving a problem? If you want to make money, if you're not just doing one-off things, the money. I know they say that riches are the niches, but the money is really solving a problem. What problem are you solving? The bigger that it is, the better the reward. But what is your positioning for growth? What is, next day you say, I'm gonna shut up here, but day three. So I'll let you go there. But that's what I'm hearing because you just said that. Hey man, nobody else is doing this. Blah blah blah. We need this. I'll create this, and then people are like been looking and looking and waiting and salivating for it. Boom, they're gonna pay because that's what they've been looking for. You just got to put it in front of the people that are looking for what you have to offer at the time that they want it. Here we go. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's actually part of like again, we can give that one away for free. Like I've never created a program where I didn't collect the money first because that is a deadly move that a lot of people make and they don't understand. Like I've watched people waste tens of millions of dollars on things. Apple just did it for crying out loud.
Let's
They
talk about
just
that.
well, they just scrapped the car. And I'm letting you know, I've been in some of those rooms to know like I was there. This is how crazy this conversation is. Like not exactly in those rooms, but you kind of look over and go, what's that? I'm just saying, I got receipts on that too, Nick. You saw the receipts.
Oh yeah, this man is for real. This man's for real.
I'm driving cars where my wife can't even legally drive them because the technology was just that intense. Like I'm telling you guys, I'm looking at one of my stickers right here, right now that I'm looking at, and it's got my name on it that says "Do not sell for Fred Smith," and I got a whole stack of them. Like this ain't a one-off, and I'm telling you from personal experience, sometimes you can be too far ahead of the curve. Even as great as a company as Apple is, they had to scrap a multi-billion-dollar project where they were trying to have a car without a steering wheel. It was innovative and they've learned a lot from it. But that's also a shift in Apple's mindset. Because if you look at the way Apple really is, Apple became number one by becoming number two. And they played a great number two. Number one was Microsoft at that time. And what Apple did was they observed Microsoft in the way that they were moving in the marketplace. They let them do all the research and development up front, and then they built a more superior product, and here we are. That's how they did it. Anybody can look that up, and that's the kind of stuff that I train on, bro. That's what they call an axiom. It's no different than like gravity. You throw something up on up, you're guaranteed that it's going to come down because that's the way gravity works. That is a true axiom. And that's what Apple followed. And that's the reason why they're $1 trillion cash flush company is because of that one thing. It doesn't take a lot. That's the reason why strategic positioning for growth. And that's the reason why I'm glad we kind of went to that specific example. That right there is a $250,000 course right there. That is something that I would train on in my $250,000 mastermind. Yeah, I'm gonna say it again. That's the kind of stuff that I know because I know what page it's on and I've actually done it. Yeah, that's 250 all day long. So, but you're for 197, you're just getting a glimpse of what that $250,000 really looks like. Because I will work through with you on how to really get that crafted like that. I've scaled up several companies from zero to a few hundred million. They've all went to multi-billion dollar companies. They're still in existence. I still talk to some of those teams. I got a call a couple weeks ago. Why? Because the air is rare there, but the air shouldn't be that rare, and that's the reason why collectively. Anyway, I want to. This sounds like soapbox stuff, but any other questions on day two, bro? Before we move on to day three.
Let's let the day three. I don't know why I'm getting chills, but come on, let's get to it.
Okay, let's get it after it. So day three is again mastering market engagement because again you can know all of this stuff, but if you're not getting traction on it, then nothing else really matters. And this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we have to step back. So I go more into that as far as audience roadmap and the executive entrepreneur part of audience roadmap specifically, because the problem that I've seen, which is a fatal error, and this is the reasons why people get stuck as solopreneurs. The fatal error is they're too close to their baby. Like they don't like they're watching their baby born and they're like that helicopter parent. It's like you got to let your IP intellectual property, you got to let your intellectual property go out into the marketplace. Like that's the way it works. Like you have to, it's gonna, you can think that it's one way and you had a whole group of people who initially were supporting it, but then the further it gets out, it transforms into something else. So you have to market, you have to really master market engagement because that's the key to conversions and growth. Like you have to be able to really understand what's going to cause people to convert and what's also going to cause you to expand. And if you don't do that, then what happens is you become the bottleneck. And we see that all the time. Like especially at the 10K mark between 10 to 30K, people hit this bottleneck. I don't know what it is. I ain't got that part figured out in the universe. But when I had my tax license, because I was like, I got to figure this out. I couldn't figure it out even with my tax license. And I told you that the other day. I was like, there's two bottlenecks that people hit. It's from like 10K to 30K, sometimes 50. And then at the $7 million mark, and people like the $7 million mark, anybody who's had a $7 to $10 million company will tell you like that is the bottleneck for their company. They can't figure out why. I'm willing to have the theory, and I still haven't had a chance to really prove it. But what I'm saying is literally if you put inflation at 4% and you multiply what I just said times that 4%, it's about still $28,000. You know, if you just like to sell a company up for 7 million, put it in the bank, right? It would be like 4%. It's like $28,000 a month. It's still a bottleneck. You follow me? This is crazy. But this is the kind of stuff again I would teach at a very high level because I'm really curious about that stuff. But to bring it back to earth, what's happening, bro?
No, you just do it. You like bring it back to earth. I'm like, yeah.
You can't sometimes see the forest for the trees, but you got to have both in mind. That was my point in saying all of that stuff. So that's why mastering market engagement is key because this is the part where you start figuring out, okay, what systems and processes do I really need to start putting behind this? You know, what part of my tech stack do I really need to start focusing in on? Like this is the kind of stuff where this is the part where you have to really start building out, or like in some of my other programs, I called it avatar recalibration, where you have to see who your range of the audience is not one specific person. This is where I hate's a strong word with me, but this is the part where I hate where advertisers and marketers teach the public. It's a range of people, like Mariah Carey. She has a huge range, right? But there's certain parts of how she sings that's her sweet spot, and that's how she makes her millions of dollars. You follow me? Like she can hit those levels, but it doesn't necessarily mean that she needs to stay there. You follow me? Like there's a certain pattern that she's identified in the marketplace as an example, where it's like, boom, when I sing this song, and some of them are slow burn, like that Christmas song that she had, 25 million. No, I'm sorry, 25 years it took for that to become a number one hit. Now it's a classic, but it took her. She did that 25 years ago. So mastering market engagement, people just now got engaged. That was 25 years later, but you never know what your IP is going to do. And now that I said that, bro, I'll probably will drop in what me and Carl Shockey did as a bonus, the data haiku. I'll include that. I won't talk about that here. I'll talk about it in a separate one. But for the most part, that's what we want you to do. We want you to be able to sort out and sift and see exactly where your intellectual property is, because as creators, we sometimes create too much too fast.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, we're not engaged. So we can't expect our market to be engaged because we're kind of like, I hate to say it like this, but it's true. We're kind of like gambling. It's like you're trying to put all this stuff out there to see what's going to stick. But the key to conversions and growth is engagement on both sides. So I don't want to beat that up too much. Any questions from we on to day 4?
Nope.
Is this too much or is this good?
No, it's good. It's good because you're giving context. I think this is what's missing too. Just a simple context of why somebody should get this and what they will get when they get it, and the explanation of it, right? Like I I don't know. We think differently. So to me, this is what I think is missing from a lot of things when people want you to do something or take a boot camp or period. Yes, guess what, people? We're going to ask you to pay a little bit of money, and here's why. Here's if we ask for $1, you need to understand why and what you're going to get from that, why you're buying and investing with your dollar. So I personally appreciate this, and I think that people we're going for a certain audience, and I think that they'll appreciate this because they're just not getting it.
Okay, cool. Well, you've also been through the experience too, where we've crafted offers for people and they don't understand how long it takes,
Yep.
or even for that price, it's still low because of all the
Yeah.
labor.
Yep.
So, okay, cool. So let's go over to day 4, which is failure is opportunity. Because again, the reasons why people sometimes have too much going on is because, quite frankly, we've been trained to do that. We've been trained to be busy, but busy does not equal business. That's the reasons why it's super important to engage and stay focused. So when you do have those failures, what we have to do is go back to the scene of the accident and really uncover like what happened. I'm pretty sure with Apple in their car, now that they publicly talked about it, they're going to go back and really see what happened because they've gotten probably some new technological advancements as a result of that. And they're probably going to look at who's currently crushing it in the marketplace and match it up against what they are currently got going on. That's the way it works from a high level, man. This is the kind of stuff in that high level mastermind we're going to go over, like those kinds of those top level strategies. But for the most part, we aren't trained and conditioned at this level to understand that like failure is real opportunity. So this is how you innovate. And I forgot who said it. I don't know if it was, I think Peter Drucker. I'm still trying to learn names, but Peter Drucker was talking about marketing is innovation or something to that extent. I want to get the quote right, but that's immediately who I thought of as far as attribution goes. Because again, that's all marketing is innovation. Marketing is like literally, like I said, hey, I couldn't find anybody else who did this, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. And I like to invest. I have no problems with investing. Like I've invested over $500,000 of my own personal money just to really get things right, right? But you get to a certain point where and again, my wife would look at that as failure. I look at it as innovation, as opportunity, and resiliency. Because that is what leads to success, provided that you have the certain frameworks and mindset to really analyze it, like from a scientific level, like to get your feels out of it and really see it for what it is so that you can recalibrate and do better. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
You know,
Any
well,
questions on it?
one thing that I hear that I go to a lot is fail fast and fail forward. Like as long as you're going forward, that's part of it because it's the only way you're going to learn. And it's only really failure if you stop and just give up. So you're going to learn from everything that you do, but if you never do anything, you won't learn anything.
Yeah, 100%, brother. No, I couldn't agree with you more on that. And which leads us to day 5, really. Because what we're looking to do is the strategic execution mastery. And this is the overall envelopment. So that's the reasons why it's set up as like 5 days versus like 7-day challenge or a 15-day challenge. Because literally, if you were to do this from Monday through Friday, this is literally how I have my week stacked. Monday through Friday, since that's the way the rest of the world is working, I like to move that way because I want to be engaged as possible. I want to be able to get the data. Some people are like, hey, we can do whatever you want. No, no, I like humans. It's fine. Like you can follow someone else's lead. That's fine. Me personally, what I do is Monday through Friday, I'm actually out here in these streets doing this for real. Saturday for me is I do a day of reflection, which is on these things right here from day to 5, 1 through 5. And then Sunday, me and my wife are planning for the next week. It's a real simple pattern. But in order to get there, though, it took us all of that failure to get there. It took us all of this observation to get there. It took all of these processes and procedures to get there, because this is where your vision becomes reality. If you don't accurately craft your vision in the first place, what are you working toward?
Facts.
It's no different than going to like a Walmart or Target or somewhere where you go to buy a jigsaw puzzle and like you're spending money on like the puzzle. Like it comes in a box, it's 500 pieces, and it has a picture on the top that you're trying to get to. This is how I look at business. I'm like, okay, how many pieces are in your business? What's the kind of box that you need to have it in? Because when you go to all of these big box stores, they don't have stuff scattered all over the place. It's organized. And on the picture, like the jigsaw puzzles, like that's the picture that you want. Okay, cool. Same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be any harder than what that is, because it's already hard enough to get there. It's already hard enough to try to control your time. It's already hard enough. That's some of the stuff that we cover in Audience Roadmap. I don't want to get too far into that part because we're talking about marketing mastery bootcamp, but that's what leads to Audience Roadmap, is because once you get all of this stuff down, then it's time for you to have like a different kind of conversation, because you start getting into mastery of this stuff. And then you're like, oh, well, okay, wow, I got this done. What happens next? And some people are ready for Audience Roadmap right now. Some people are ready for speed scaling right now. I don't want to discount all of that stuff, but that's an evolution from what's happened since 2020 up to now in this short period of time as to how we got here. So again, when I say transformative journey, it's literally the transformative journey. And it came from the principles in superstar leadership that I observed from working with 7 to 10 figure business earners for like 25 years nonstop and their businesses. It's really mastery in motion. It's about really getting out there in these streets and actually doing it. So that's what this whole thing was about. And it leads to the ethical leadership, because there wasn't one thing that I did that was like, in those lanes, you got to be, compliance is everything. So we were able to really still maximize profits. I know people don't like platitudes, but that's what that literally was. We were able to maximize profits while still staying compliant. That's an art. That's a science. There's a lot of finesse involved with that. There's a lot of technical expertise in doing that, because you're dealing with lawmakers, you're dealing with people who create the rules. You follow me, of the game. So at that level, that's what you're getting in your market mastery boot camp for just like 197, bro. I don't know how to say it.
Wow. This is game changer, y'all. This is game changer.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting us to go into all of that. I'm glad we're recording it, but I really want people to get the idea that that's how well thought out this really is. This isn't like some marketing program where, hey, we just take your money and you try to figure it out. It's like, no, like we're trying to like really help you out in these streets for real. Like I know what it's like. Like even the other day I took a picture with me and wife and posted on Instagram. That's when we went out there, and she got like we went to Cowboys place out there in South LA.
I saw it. I saw it. I was like, oh,
We out here, bro.
Nipsey Hustle, Cowboy, all them. I see y'all.
Yeah, we out here, man. And people, it's one of those things where we'll start reconnecting. I got my other boy Jamal. I'll have him on the podcast as well, Mind's Eye, because he's incredible. He's totally well known in the community, and it's one of those things where this is real. Like we want, I want from all levels some people to understand that I'm not different than anybody else. The difference is I had some direct and indirect mentorship that allowed me to become a lot more creative, but also because my mind is very technical as well, I was able to get all of those structures. That's why I call it creative structure as an example, because it's about really like helping people. But the only way you can help people is by you being in a certain position in the first place. And then from there, you're able to just really have a supportive environment. And that's what I'm able to provide in that I Fix That marketing group, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So just let them know where they can find us. The iFix.mark. Oh, I guess this is going to be that group. I keep it.
Well, stay with me, sir, because we're about to go live real quick. But for the most part, and then I know you got a dip. But for the most part, what I want people to understand is just that it's totally possible to do this. And me and Nick in real time are showing you how to do it. Nick's a genius as well. We haven't even got onto the AI side, so we're going to have him shining like new paint, to let you know what's totally possible out there. He did 32 weeks of Billy Gina's marketing, Genius Academy. And I'm super excited to get with you, brother, on this whole project.
Word, word. Well, I appreciate you as usual, Fred, man, dropping these jewels on everybody so we can all glisten. I don't got my necklace on yet, but we'll get there. But thank you so much for what you do, man, and the knowledge that you bring, brother.
All right, brother. I appreciate it, man. You guys, again, book a call at contactfred.com. If you need anything, go to askfredsmith.com. If you got questions, like I said, this whole process right here is just 197, but I'm also looking to, like I said, serve you to the highest level. This is the only thing I know. Y'all can call it advertising or marketing or whatever. I just call it helping people. So, you need help, hit us up. So we'll chat soon. Peace.